regular meeting of Livonia City Council. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice President Patrick Brockway. Good evening, everyone. This is a voting meeting. Minutes of this meeting will be approved at the next regular meeting scheduled to be held on Monday, January 26, 2026. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Vice President Brockway.
Present.
Councilmember McCullough.
Here.
Councilmember McDonald. Present. Councilmember Budzinski.
Here.
Councilmember Persicone.
Present.
Councilmember Tashnik.
Here.
President Reed.
Present. We have all 7 members present. At this time, I will entertain a motion for the minutes from the regular meeting of the City Council held on December 17th, 2025.
So moved.
Support.
Motion from Tashnik, support from Budzinski. Any comments from council? Any comments from the audience? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway.
Yes.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Persicone.
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik.
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye. The minutes are approved 7-0. Now we'll move on to audience communication. The council has set aside 30 minutes for audience communication for items not on the agenda. Do we have any audience communication?
Yes.
Okay, you can come to either podium and you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record, and we do have a clock up here.
My name is Naz Simsit. I live at 18957 Aspen Drive.
Go ahead, you have 3 minutes.
It is an honor to speak before the council today. I am with the Schoolcraft Environment Club, and I have been a Livonia resident my whole life. Today, I aim to address the concern of herbicides and pesticides being used on the Livonia golf courses. There are many golf courses in Livonia, with most residences lying within 4 miles of a golf course. The herbicides and pesticides utilized on golf courses at peak seasons are at high amounts. These chemicals used leach contaminants into the groundwater, which is then consumed in our drinking water. According to the 2024 Annual Drinking Water Report, it is stated that citizens should be expected to ingest a certain amount of herbicides and pesticides when drinking their tap water. What the annual report fails to address is the amount of herbicides and pesticides that are in the drinking water, along with the contaminants that can be associated with dangerous health risks such as Parkinson's disease. As I know, many of you council members work with our senior population. It is especially essential for them to be protected at all costs against these risks that could be posed by pesticides and herbicides. Contaminants such as 2,4-D, paraquat, and rotenone are known for causing these diseases and other health risks. I urge the council to deeply consider this problem and to refine the regulations on our water to include testing for contaminants 2,4-D, paraquat, and rotenone, along with other pesticides and herbicides. I thank you all for listening to me today.
Thank you. Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Mike Kelly. I live at 15731 Penn Drive. I live right across the street from the Buco de Pepo site that the previous city council approved for a car wash at their last meeting on December the 17th. I'm here this evening with several of my fellow Quakertown residents. We want to share some concerns we have regarding the previous council's handling of the car wash proposal and vote, and to also ask you, the current council, to correct the previous council's misdeeds. As you may know, the car wash decision was not slated to be on the December 17th agenda, but was added at the 11th hour. Another speaker will discuss this issue, as I want to focus on what Councilmember Martha Pashnik had to say that evening, which is very problematic. She said, and I quote, "I don't have a specific passion for the car wash that's been alluded to, but I do believe we should be voting on this tonight. The council has already given this matter thorough consideration, first in July, then in October, and most recently in the Committee of the Whole in November. To defer action to January when the new council is seated would be both irresponsible and inappropriate because the incoming council members have not participated in these discussions or had the opportunity to even ask the petitioner questions. They'd just be voting on a gut. So we do not intentionally have a study session tonight because our responsibility this evening is to conclude the business of 2025. The next study is in January with the new council, and then their first voting meeting is tonight on January the 14th. This ensures that the new council begins work in January with a clean slate, and that's why I actually supported putting this on the agenda tonight, not because I have a passion for car washes. Martha makes it very clear that she doesn't have a passion for car washes. She mentions this twice in her speech. However, she still voted yes to approve it, and this does not really make any sense to the Quakertown residents.
Thank you. Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Neil Morosky. I live at 15971 Penn Drive, Quakertown. You just heard what Martha Pashnik had to say at the December 17th council meeting. She then surprised everyone and voted yes to approve the car wash at the Buca site. Her comments didn't support her vote for sure. Then here's what she had to say at the council study session on January 5th, and I quote, "I would actually like to refer an item to the law department regarding the number of car wash locations where no new car wash location will be closer than 1 mile from any existing or approved car wash along the same corridor. This is something I've been thinking about quite a lot as I drive around our city. I believe we need to reduce the clustering of these car washes. I want to include in the ordinance."
Excuse me, sir. We have that on the agenda tonight. So this time right now is for anything that is not on the agenda. The request that Martha made to the law department is an agenda item tonight.
Okay. So what the previous speaker, my neighbor Mike, said, he should have been halted also?
You're correct.
Point of order.
No, you can say anything you want.
Point of order, if I may. The clock, I think we should pause it.
You can go ahead, but you cannot speak on the agenda item that's later on in the meeting.
So if I stop,
The specific request that Martha made to law about the car,
if I stop now, can I come back?
yes, during that agenda item, yes.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. It's my first regular meeting.
And may I, to just the point, the difference is the car wash was previously mentioned in the prior comment. That is not on the agenda. That's the difference between the two comments with the public speaker. The first commenter was speaking on something that's not on the agenda. The second commenter was noting on an item that is specifically on the agenda, and we have dedicated time to speak on that issue. So just a point of clarification, if
Thank
that
you.
helps.
Yep.
I also wanted to speak on the car wash, so
Name and address for the record, please.
Matt Hanshin, 15861 Swarthmore, Quakertown. After hearing what Martha said at the last two council meetings, contradiction is the only word that comes to mind. Not only for the 300 homeowners in Quakertown, but for anyone here in person this evening or watching at home. Martha first says that she didn't have a specific passion for the car wash, but then voted yes to approve it. What's worse, a couple of weeks later, she says that she'd been thinking about quite a bit as she drove around the city. She believed that we needed to reduce the clustering of the car washes. Now she wants to pass a new city ordinance to restrict.
Okay, so that's also later on the agenda tonight, and you can talk about that that time.
Point of order, if I may, just because I want to at least clarify. Can I, through the chair to city attorney, just to clarify, and please stop me, I'm trying to, if they speak on the specific car wash that was approved at that meeting, which is the car wash on the Quakertown site, that can be spoken about right now. But the actual procedural question, so anybody that's out there that's speaking on this, you can speak on the specific car wash. You can't speak on the item that's coming up. So just for clarification to everybody in the audience.
That's correct, yep.
Did you want us to continue your time?
Yes, please. This is not the kind of politician we want representing us in Livonia, but this is what we're getting. Martha votes for something none of us want, and then tries to camouflage her vote and take credit for a problem that she created while being really careful to exclude the Buca car wash in her proposal by saying it doesn't apply to this one because it was already approved. The Quakertown residents find this whole thing insulting, especially how Martha tries to outwit us with her words. Therefore, we insist the council reverse the approval of the Buca car wash, and we insist you do it this evening. Thanks.
Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Denise Micah, Livonia. I would like to bring up again what I believe is a violation of the Open Meetings Act. The correspondence to put the item on the agenda, the December 17th agenda, which had 4 city council members sign, and it's an undated letter, okay? And in further, well, I'll just say, I think it's in violation of Section 3 of the Michigan Open Meetings Act, PA 267 of 1976. And this is Open Meetings Act email quorum violation. And that's what, I had brought that up before. Nobody had really addressed it. And to put that on the agenda and to say that we're going to have everything as a clean slate for the next council. I was just at the study meeting for this meeting, and if it was a clean slate, why were there 17 items for the new council in the study meeting? You could have just made this on another item on the study meeting, and you could have spun all those people up. And most of the people that are sitting on council have been watching these meetings and are familiar with this. And talk about Quakertown people, I've been to a lot of meetings, a lot of people have known. And every time, it seems like they get the most Quakertown people representation. They reschedule it. We don't have enough information right now. It have to be in. And how many people? I bet you it's 3 meetings at least, and I could go back and find out which ones they were, that it was dismissed and put it off. And that shows me much disrespect to not only Quakertown, but everybody else, that we come to try to get things done expeditiously, fairly, and it doesn't seem like those people are getting treated fairly at all. And I hope that the new council pays attention to what all the citizens are saying, and this is just not a one-off thing. And today I went and looked up where the potential car wash is going to be, and I could barely make a right. I'm looking at where Whole Foods is going. How are they going to leave that parking lot and make a left onto Haggerty? That is a mess. And until we get all that addressed, I think that should be put aside. And I think we should do what happened in the last council, is that somebody come up and say, I'm going to disapprove the minutes from the last meeting, and you all could do this, and pull that, and I don't want to mention somebody's name, but you could do that and say, you know what, I'm going to object to that.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Greg Ralco, Golfridge Villa. What you just did to Mike and Neil was wrong, because they were quoting Martha. They weren't commenting on the proposal that's on the agenda tonight. Where do I start? I guess I should commend the passion of the 300 Quakertown homemakers. You did great. As one of the 400 homeowners near the 8 Mile in Newburgh corner, still fighting the Sheets proposal, we know what you're going through. Every council candidate on the campaign trail promises to listen to the residents and do the will of the people because we represent you. And yet they stop listening to the residents once they get in office. This has to stop, and I ask that it stop tonight with this council. After hearing earlier comments made by Martha on December 17th and then on January 5th, I have the perfect solution for the Quakertown neighbors. Under Robert's Rules of Order, under which this chamber operates, Martha has the power, authority, and I would add the moral obligation to rescind the yes vote that was taken last month on the Buca site. Here's the kicker. Only Martha can do this because she is the only council member that voted with the majority and who is still on the council. The question is simple. Does Martha have the political will to do the right thing? All of Livonia is watching this evening and wondering. Why would Martha make a motion to rescind the vote? I think it's pretty obvious. At the city council meeting on December 17th, she clearly said, I don't have a passion for this car wash. And then minutes later, mind you, with no passion, she cast the fourth and deciding vote, the yes vote. And Quakertown gets the door slammed in their face. Martha also disparaged you, the new council, that night as well, when she said that delaying the decision on the car wash to when the new council was seated would be irresponsible and inappropriate, and that any vote you folks would take would be by the gut, quote unquote. As if the new council members weren't smart enough to get their heads around a car wash proposal. Martha should have followed her gut and voted no. Then on January 5th, she proposes that time limits be placed on future car washes. Martha, are you even aware that the Buca site would be denied per the terms of your proposed ordinance? This is a transparent attempt by Martha to divorce herself from her yes vote and being the white knight to protect us from future car wash invasions. City Council, please demand a motion to rescind the Buca vote
Sir,
tonight.
that's time. Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
Patty Riggio, Livonia, Michigan, President Willow Woods HOA. My request is regarding the property at 8 Mile in Newburgh and the proposed sheet site. On November 14th of 2025, the residents of Deer Creek, Golf Ridge Villa, and Willow Woods, which represent 400 homeowners in the 3 subdivisions closest to the site, sent an open letter to Mayor Maureen Bronson asking her to instruct any and all departments within the city not to issue any and all permits and related permissions pursuant to the 8 Mile and Newburgh site. The residents have not heard back from the mayor. I have seen work this past week at that site. As you may know, several of us are party to a lawsuit filed in Wayne County Circuit Court. It is fair and prudent that all parties, that nothing be done at this site until Wayne County Circuit Court rules. This would protect all parties and the interests, as well as mitigate any financial impact to any party caused by the outcome of Wayne County Circuit Court's ruling. In absence of the mayor's lack of responding to the concerned citizens, I am asking this council tonight to make a motion and to pass it, directing all relevant city departments to postpone the issue of any and all permits for site demolition and related development until Wayne County Circuit Court makes its ruling. It would be financially reckless for the city to continue moving forward until the court has issued a ruling. Let the lawsuit play out. Will you make and pass a motion tonight?
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Ralph McNabb, Livonia. I'd like to bring to your attention two important open issues related to the Sheets proposal at 8 Mile and Newburgh. Yes, this issue is not over. Please listen carefully because I'm going to be speaking about the site plan and the use variance. First, the motion to approve the site plan at the November 5th council meeting created a lot of confusion as to what was actually voted on and approved. So much so that the previous council president requested a summary explanation from the city attorney on what was voted. To this date, that explanation has not been provided. So that is my first request. Please get that summary of the explanation of the site plan. Second, and this is the most important, so please listen and hear me. At the May 6th ZBA meeting, the ZBA approved the use variance, not the site plan, the use variance, to allow the placement of a C3 business in a C1 location. However, the ZBA approval came with a condition that the requirements that the Planning Commission and the City Council also must approve the use variance. To this date, neither of those bodies, the Planning Commission or the City Council, now that's since last May, neither of those bodies has even mentioned the words use variance, let alone discussed or approved it. We have reviewed the meeting minutes and it's never been stated. Therefore, any and all issuance of permits or directives to proceed with any actions to demo, modify, or change the building and the properties at 8 Mile and Newburgh are improper and illegal. You don't have a use variance and must be stopped, rescinded, and prevented immediately. Go back and read the letters I provided. Page 2. Do I need to remind and educate this body that a site plan and use variance are two different things? But this Sheets thing needs both of them. It doesn't have it. It has the site plan approval. Everybody is talking about bushes and sizes of signs and stuff. Nobody even thought to talk about the use variance. Further, the variance granted with the following conditions. You can read along with me. Subject to approval of the Planning Commission and City Council. Therefore, my second request is stop, cease and desist everything at that site. You want another lawsuit? Go forward, because they don't have a use variance. You guys didn't vote on it. The last council didn't vote on it. The Planning Commission didn't vote on it. The ZBA did, but they put it back in your lap, and nobody even talked about it. It's like trying to get married without a license. We can plan the wedding, get everything in plans. You can't go forward because you don't have a license.
Thank you, sir. That is
Thank
time. Name and address for the record, please.
Denny Berenson. I live in Deer Creek and I represent Deer Creek. I'd like to talk to you about the city charter, one very particular part of the city charter. Chapter 4, Legislative Division, Section 31, Additional Powers, Parking Facilities, Gas Stations, Regulation of Trades, Billboards. I'm quoting from the Livonia Charter, page 24. The council shall also have the power to provide by ordinance for regulating, restricting, and limiting the number and locations of oil and gasoline stations in the city. End of the quote. So you see, this council has the charter-given power to enable in ordinances that regulate and restrict where and how many gas stations can be established in Livonia. The charter does not impose any qualifiers on this section. This provision has existed in the charter for more than 70 years. The previous council had, of course, the same power. That council did not exercise this power. Two of those council members, one of whom is also a member of this council, voted for the Sheets site plan, voicing the unsubstantiated claim that their decision would avoid a possible lawsuit against the city. There is and was no risk of a lawsuit. The charter gives you the authority to deny locating gas stations at the corner of Newburgh and 8 Mile. I remind you, that location for a gas station is already a violation of an existing ordinance that requires 100 feet separation from parks and gathering places, and it does not meet that 100-foot requirement. I close with this thought. One can't help but wonder why the legal department did not make the previous council aware that they could be emulating Farmington Hills in restricting gas station locations.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Jerry Karasinski, 19488 Bainbridge Avenue. I want to commend and thank the Finance Department and the council for putting the financial document out on the documents that are part of this meeting. It just gives me one account that I have question about. Department 265, non-departmental, now has a budget of $3.41 million. It was originally 2.41, and an amendment was added, another million. This puts us in the largest group of accounts that the city keeps track of. There's many other accounts that are much, much smaller. This seems to be a catch-all. It's about 5% of the budget. I would think that you might want to look into additional transparency on what expenditures are included in this department. Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Been here before, just recently. Name is Neil Morosky, live at 15971 Penn Drive. Continuing on with where I was, this is what Councilwoman Martha had to say. I would actually like to refer an item to the law department regarding the number of car wash locations where no new car wash location will be closer than 1 mile from any existing or approved car
Sir,
wash.
can we do this later on the agenda?
Wait a minute. The previous two people, Mike and Greg, talked about this car wash. Stop the clock.
Okay,
Because, and now I'm not allowed to?
but you're talking about Martha's request to law for the ordinance later on in the agenda.
He's quoting her words. Yeah, he's not commenting, he's quoting. Big difference.
Okay, please don't yell from the audience. We've asked you before to wait until later in the agenda. If you could please wait when you're talking about the ordinance and her request to law. If you want to talk about the specific car wash, have at it.
I will wait.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Name and address for the record, please.
Laura Shoemaker, Livonia, I live in Gulf Ridge Villa. I have two things that I'd like to cover this evening regarding the pending sheets approval on the corner of 8 Mile and Newburgh. First of all, I sent an email to everyone on the city council asking 3 things of you. I have not received a response. I did receive an acknowledgement from Councilmember Budzinski. I would like to have someone on the council let me know when the residents are done speaking here this evening, when I can expect a response. Secondly, because we have a new council, and this is your first meeting, I would like to recap for the record the facts and thus why the Sheets proposal needs to be reversed. Last January, the council voted 4-3 against the Sheets proposal to have the 8 Mile Newburgh corner rezoned from C1 to local to C2. Sheets also asked at the time for certain waivers under the C2 zone to essentially make it a C3 zone. These were part of the denial. The issue was dead, or so we thought. The owner of the property then appealed the Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Zoning Board of ZBA granted a use variance for a gas station. However, the ZBA did not give proper public notice, thus prompting the residents to file an appeal with the Wayne County Circuit Court. The appeal is still in the court. Further, the ZBA granted a variance without meeting the 4 conditions, in their words, that needed to be met before they had the power to issue that variance. The conditions are: One, the petitioner must prove financial hardship. He did not. He has a closed drugstore, as do at least 5 other landlords in the city. The request, number 2, the request is in line with the city ordinance. It does not. In fact, it violates 2. The first is that a new gas station can't be built within 100 feet of a park. Whispering Willows borders the property, and we measured Greenmead, and it's 94 feet across Newburgh. The second is that the restaurant drive-thrus are prohibited in a C1 zone. The corner is still zoned C1. Number 3, the request is in line with the master plan. This corner has been designated a park in the master plan's future land use maps. 4, the request answers the concerns of the residents. Well, this one is comical. All 4 conditions, yes, all 4 conditions needed to be met before a use variance could be granted. The last 2 items are, we have a meeting with the Friends of the Rouge, and they are against this development. There is a 10-foot stream bordering the south side of the property, and this leads to the Rouge River. The Friends tested the quality of the water, and it ranks fair, and the calcium chloride levels are deemed toxic. By the way, Councilmember Budzinski voted no to Sheets over the environmental risk. Thank you for recognizing the risk associated with this development and standing firm on your position. Finally, we tried to get the staff at Greenmead to voice their concerns, but they said they weren't free to speak. This is alarming.
Thank you, that is time. Okay, so I see no one else coming down for audience communication. We'll move on to anything from council. Ms. Budzinski.
Good evening, all. I have a few things, but I will start on the matter of revote. I know this has come up several times in public comments, and one of the things that stands out to me is with the state legislature. Recently, Matt Hall trying to reverse decisions that a previous legislative session had passed. As many of you may know, it did go to court, and they were, Matt Hall and the majority currently in Lansing was told that they did need to move those bills that were previously passed through and send them to the governor for approval. And with that in mind, I'd just like to, through the chair, to our city attorney, if he could maybe comment on this in any capacity in terms of revotes or similar actions to reverse actions that happened in a previous council.
Sure, through the chair. A rescinding motion is available to this council despite the fact that this was heard by sort of the prior body. We don't have rules in place that place a distinction between the council of 2025 and the council of 2026 to that effect. So it is an option. A rescinding vote under Robert's rules is technically an option for council, but it certainly has, other potential effects and precedentiary effects that council would want to consider very carefully before taking such an action.
Okay, thank you. And then I'll get on to my prepared remarks for the evening. As always, I just had a couple of events that I wanted to note for folks. One, Monday is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and Learn is hosting their 3rd or 4th MLK breakfast at Madonna's Welcome Center from 8 to 10 o'clock. I've been every year. It's a really great event if you're looking for a way to celebrate and recognize that day. The Friends of Livonia Art and the Livonia Arts Commission are hosting a artist community meetup next Friday, January 23rd from 6 to 8 p.m. at Tin Cup. It is, as I said, a free event. Then a couple of things I also wanted to bring up. Pardon, I wrote it down, so I say less, if you would. Not that I'm starting off strong. Many of you are also probably aware of the increased dialogue around data centers across the country and around our community specifically. It is an increasing development trend with uncertain impact on communities and the environment. And for that reason, I'd like to send the topic to the Economic Development and Strategic Planning Commission to allow to allow the city to study the impact of these centers that have had on other communities in which they've been built, research best practices, and make any necessary adjustments to our zoning laws connected to this area of industry to ensure that they reflect our priorities and are in the best interest of the city.
Are you making a motion?
Yes, that was a motion. Sorry.
Support.
Motion by Budzinski, support by Tashnik. Anything from council? Anything from council on that one? Anything from audience? Madam Clerk, will you please take the vote?
Vice President Brockway.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Persicone.
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik.
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye. And passes 7-0.
Thank you. And one more thing, if you would, Madam Chair. I would also like to request a report and recommendation from the Law Department for ordinance language that would create a minimum distance requirement for gas and oil stations where they can be built near bodies of water. That's the motion.
A motion?
Support.
Motion by Carrie, motion by Ms. Budzinski, support by Brockway. Anything from council?
If I could expand, just the motivation for me with this, obviously it's no secret that I have concerns for water bodies in our city, specifically Newburgh Lake. We have 2 vacant corners at Newburgh specifically that I just feel could potentially attract developers at Newburgh and Plymouth, and Newburgh and Ann Arbor Trail. In 2021, I believe, there was a proposal that was brought to council for a gas station at Newburgh and Ann Arbor Trail. It was denied by that council. However, as we all know, there's a lot of moving parts in these things, and so I just would like to take extra steps to ensure that those corners in particular do not attract those kind of businesses that would create undue environmental risks to Newburgh Lake, in particular, being, again, the largest body of water here in Livonia. So,
Anything else from council on that? Anything from the audience on that? Name and address for the record, please. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam President. Jim Biggle, Livonia, Michigan. I've been privy to sitting into planning commission meetings, and I understand gas station and gas station renewals are going to be top items this year in the planning world. And I would like to add to no new gas stations, only allowing renewals of gas stations and tearing down existing gas stations and rebuilding gas stations, to Councilperson Budzinski's issue, and adding in auto repair shops to that. We shouldn't be tearing down or putting into vacant spots more gas stations or more auto repairs than what we already have in the city. I think we have an abundance of those items as well, and as we're going to have I understand, a heated discussion about those car washes. I don't want to say that too loud, but I think that going with the environmental impact, we have other creeks and other bodies of water besides Newburgh Lake that are in Livonia that really need to be addressed, because, we've got different parts of Livonia that currently have creeks and valleys and bodies of water that are there that we really should protect. And that's why I think we should limit the number of new gas stations and new auto repairs, and just limit it to existing ones that can be remodeled instead of new ones being built. Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Greg Ralco, Gulf Ridge Villa. I like Jim's point. The peak population for Livonia was 112,000. It's down to around 92,000, a drop in 17%. There hadn't been a new gas station built in the city besides the one at Kroger out on 8 Mile in 15 years. And we presented this information to the city council, but it gets glossed over. So we've raised this. We've raised this many a times throughout this whole process with Sheets. And we get this, thanks for coming, but then the item just goes into the air. And that's frustrating, and it's aggravating, and we pay taxes. The shareholders in this city are the taxpayers. You people come and go. I've been in this city as a resident tax-paying for 40 years. I've been through 15 administrations, so many city councils, and every time you do something that we end up paying the freight for, you guys are on your way out to the next thing, okay? And so I like what Jim said, okay? But we already had too many. I would like what Carrie just said, but I'd like to do it retroactively, okay? Let's do it to the Sheets site. What site has greater visibility than access? And you got the Friends of the Ruse report. We provided that to you. We went out and got that and provided it. Do you look at it? Do you read it? Do you acknowledge it? No, you ignore it. This is unacceptable. And now the barn door is going to be locked, but all the animals are out. Let's do it now. I love what you're doing, Carrie. You're wonderful, okay? And you need to be applauded, but it's too late.
Thank you. Any other audience communication on this? Anything else from council?
Mayor.
Ms. McDonald?
Thank you, President Reed. I would like to ask the question to Mr. Fisher in reference to the city charter and the ordinance specifically for purchasing and councils.
Wait, we're still on, we still have a motion for
I'm
Carrie's
sorry.
thing? Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we
Never
haven't
mind.
taken, okay. It's okay. Ms. Wodzinski?
Yes, I just, thank you to the audience for your feedback. I prepare in advance the motions that I feel are appropriate, that I've studied the items when I present them before council. So at this time, I am only prepared to make a motion that I've presented tonight. And so I won't be amending my current motion, but I do appreciate the feedback. I hear you, and it doesn't mean things, the conversations can't happen at a different time. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from council on this? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Persicone.
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik.
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye. And it passes 7-0. Carrie, anything else?
That is all for me for today.
Okay. Ms. Tashnik?
Thank you, President Reed. I appreciate that. I just have a couple things. First of all, I'm just going to address some of the comments that were made. Yes, I did say that car washes are not a passion of mine at the December 17th meeting. Why I voted yes was because of the traffic improvements that I saw going to multiple meetings on this issue. And in fact, in the 2 years I've been on council, we've only approved 2 car washes. One, we were required to approve by a consent judgment and didn't really have a choice, and this one. So as far as car washes go, no, I have not been approving car washes left and right like it's my job. This was just the traffic improvements, the presentations that I was privy to in July, November, December, that this current council may not have been, was part of the reason. And yes, every year we do stop with just a regular in December because we are cleaning up for the year, and we start with just a study in January for the same reason. That's just tradition. That's traditionally how we've done it, and I was trying to explain that at that meeting. At that meeting, I also had laryngitis, so it was very difficult to understand me and for me to get all my words out. So if that was, if that was taken that way, what I was saying was I didn't have a passion for this particular car wash, but I did agree with the site proposal and what they were doing there. And that was really the point that I was trying to make at that meeting. I do consider it a privilege to live in Livonia, and I really wanted to start kind of change lanes here a little bit. And I wanted to start by spotlighting some of the things that make our community so fantastic. Today I actually went to a new place for me, not new to the city, it's been here about 4 years, a new place for me for lunch with some of my teacher colleagues. We're in final exam week, so we can actually go out to lunch this week. And it was the Punjab cuisine on Plymouth Road. It's the old Kickers, if you're familiar with that. They have a lunch buffet. It's $14.99. I don't know how they make money, but they say they are. That's fantastic. So if you're looking to try some Indian food, this is a great way to do it. I talked to the owner. He was very excited to have us there. On Thursday evenings, they also have a huge dinner buffet. So I will definitely be going back. I just wanted to give them a shout out because they did such a great job with us today. I also wanted to take the opportunity to recognize our fire department. Day in and day out, these men and women serve us with professionalism, courage, and an unwavering commitment to our city. I'm not sure you know this, but all of our firefighters provide 911 medical services in addition to the firefighting responsibilities that they have. They responded to 13,264 calls in 2025. Just take that in for a minute, 13,264. For those of you doing the math with me, that averages about 36 calls per day. So that's amazing. And next time you see a member of the LFD, just thank them for their service, because I was blown away by those numbers. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anyone else? Mr. Brockway?
Through the chair for legal, I have a couple of questions, maybe just to shed some light on. It was brought up about the use variance and the site plan approval being approved. Is there anything in the records that those two were approved at the same time, or is that something that can be reviewed to see if they in fact, the site plan, you can recall that being approved, but the use variance itself?
Sure. So through the chair, the council does not actually have a role in terms of variance approvals. So the language of that letter from Mr. Klitz and from ZBA was about approval of the eventual site plan itself. Council does not have the authority to approve or disapprove of a variance. That authority lies with the Zoning Board of Appeals. Council has waiver approval and then also site plan approval additionally. So the approvals referred to there were the site plan approvals that went to planning and then council.
The other question I had was, for the question of sheets, does the administration, does the council, is there any legal mechanisms that can be in place to where all permits can be stopped while awaiting the court case that's currently pending, the litigation?
So in terms of permitting is done as either on a statutory or an ordinance basis. When a party that is applying for permits meets the requirements of either the ordinance or the statute, depending on what permit they're applying for, we really don't, as a city, have a mechanism to say, we disapprove of this for a separate reason, or we're holding your permits in abeyance for a separate reason and potentially do them economic damage. Certainly, council does not have the authority to direct individual departments to withhold permits from permit applicants who have fulfilled all the other requirements of statute and ordinance in order to achieve those permits. So for instance, when we're talking about demolition permits for this site or any other site, the owner of that site could be desiring to demolish that building for any reason, not necessarily because a sheets is going to follow, but because they believe that building to be unsafe. We don't have grounds as a council or as an administration to say, you can't have a demolition permit as the owner of that site because we don't like what might come next. If you've met the requirements of the ordinance to get a demolition permit, you get a demolition permit.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple more points here. In regards to Charter Chapter 4, Section 31, regarding the council's ability to limit the number of certain things such as gas stations, I was wondering if I would like to make a motion to put a review of controlling the number of gas stations and car washes within the city into the Committee of Economic Development for review to see its impact and see if an ordinance change would be necessary.
Support.
Motion by Brockway, support by Budzinski. Any comments from council? Any comments from the, go ahead.
I was giving you the support, so Patrick, if you wanted to expound on it, you have that floor to do so.
Okay, so just, it's been brought up several times that, the council does have the ability to limit some of these types of businesses within Livonia. It keeps being brought up by the residents, so I think that it would stand the reason that we should look into the matter itself and then through the committee refer for an ordinance change so that we can perhaps first see if it makes sense to limit the numbers or to limit maybe by location or space between them, kind of like similar to what Councilmember Tashnik had mentioned. But that's just the rationale right there is why I was going for the motion.
Anything else from council? Anything from the audience? Name and address for the record, please.
Greg Ralco, Golf Ridge Villa. Last year at this time, you voted no against changing the zoning request from a C1 to C2 at the 8 Mile and Newburgh corner. And right after that, I went over to the city of Farmington Hills because they were also dealing with a Sheets proposal, which they denied. And I met with them, and I met with them at length, and they gave me research that they had done that supported an ordinance that they signed in January of last year. And the research was, they looked at cities comparably sized to Livonia, Troy, Farmington Hills, all around the Metro Detroit area. And they came up with the number of car washes, service stations, auto repair shops, and gas stations. And Livonia was in the upper echelon of every one of those statistics. And so I came to the meeting and I said, and I gave it to Carter. I went to his office and met with him. I said, it's already been written, okay? The legal work has been done. Let's do this in this city. Had you done it at that time, we wouldn't have the Sheets issue because they went to the ZBA right after that. It would have been a dead issue, and we wouldn't have had the car wash issue, okay? But this is a classic example of us coming to you and you put it in the bottom drawer. Enough of that. You had this a year ago, and you could have remedied this and avoided all of this. And I could have had my life back for the last 18 months instead of fighting Sheets. Okay? This is the frustration. So you don't hear us. You nod your head, thank you for coming, wonderful comments, and you don't do anything. But you had it last year, and Martha, you had it last year, and you pulled it out of your pocket on January 5th.
Name and address for the record, please.
Ralph McNabb, Livonia. Read this letter. It's black and white. It's city letterhead. The city wrote this, and it states specifically that the Zoning Board of Appeals approved it with the conditions. If they didn't want the conditions, or you can't hold them to the conditions, they would have never put it in the document. It's a legal document. They're saying, guys, we'll approve it, but you have to approve it. I don't care what he says. You need to go to outside counsel and get it ruling. It's a city document, and it states that they're going to stand back and say, you take the responsibility, city council, whether you have it or not. They put it on you. If you're not going to do that, or if you listen to this, then I'm telling you, this piece of document doesn't stand. Because they're saying, you have the authority, you have the responsibility. That's what they're thinking. If that's not right, you need to go back to the ZBA and say, unwind this. You don't just sit here and say, that doesn't mean anything. You don't have that authority. Don't worry. These guys were wrong. If they're wrong, then this is invalid. Talk to the mayor. Talk to outside counsel and get it, because we're going to take this to the lawyer. We've already taken it to the lawyer, but we're going to take it back. And the next step is somebody's going to stand for this, right? Somebody needs to stand up and say, we screwed up. Yep. Unwind it. Don't sit up here and give us this crap. And then we come back and we talk to you again and we bring you the documents black and white, and he sits there and saying, that doesn't mean anything. It's city letterhead. I didn't make this. I didn't make this up. You all got a copy. So unwind it. Do the right thing. The new council members, be careful of these older council members, because they're the ones that's going to try to drive you in the position that they do like this.
That's time, sir. Thank you. Okay, we do not need clapping after every comment. Enough. Anything else from Councilwoman Bazinski?
Yeah, I would just like to make a point that the comment time for right now, what we are discussing is Councilman Brockway's motion to put the item of limiting the number of gas stations and related car facilities into committee. And I just, again, for consistency's sake, with public comments and what happened earlier, I just wanted to make the point that we did allow for some deviation from that, which we did allow in this case, but just as a note in general that really the comments should have been focused on the current motion on the floor.
Anything else from the audience? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Persicone.
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik.
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye. Passes 7-0. Anything else, Mr. Brockway?
That was it.
Mr. McCullough? Ms. McDonald?
Thank you, President Reed. I have a question for Mr. Fisher in reference to the city charter and the purchasing processes for bidding and not bidding and making exceptions to bidding. And in reference to section 3.04140-D-4 and also 304140E, and the items 1 through 4 on that. Within council's duties and items that we are looking to renew, what are we allowed to do under those circumstances? Does anything over $30,000 need to go out to bid?
So the Code of Ordinances in the Finance section does say that projects over $30,000 over the next year projected do need to go out to bid with limited exceptions, and the exceptions are listed, I believe, in the code sections that you cited.
Okay. So if we are looking to do renewals and they're over $30,000, then technically they are supposed to go out to bid? And anything that we're looking to approve that's over $30,000, they are supposed to go to bid?
If the items do not meet one of the exceptions listed in the ordinance and they are over $30,000, then they are supposed to be bid competitively.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Mr. McCullough?
Thank you, Madam Chair. All right, so I've got one report and recommendation. I would be looking for support to potentially, because I'd like this to be voted on, because I'd like to actually get a report back, if I may. The report and recommendation would be from law. It'd be more of a report coming back from law to determine what the specifics are for the 100-foot variance to public land in our ordinances.
Support.
Motion by McCullough, support by Budzinski.
Thank you. I think that it's just, there's a lot of gray areas in that. I know when we specifically had the Sheets property, it was determined that a clubhouse would be the current spot for the measurement. I just want to see, because everything that I've researched says property line. So that's my motion. I appreciate the support. And if anybody has questions on why I'm asking, I'd be happy to answer.
Anything from council? Anything from the audience?
Greg Ralco, Golfridge Villa. I can answer that question. I spent an hour in Carter's office asking him why this ordinance was overlooked, okay? And he told me, Mr. Mark over here, measured from the clubhouse because that's where people gather, okay? And it's not a either or, it's and in the ordinance. And it said it's a 0 feet from the property line. That's where the public land starts, right there at the 7th hole. It's 0. He waived the ordinance because he measured from the clubhouse, because that's where the ordinance says, or where large number of people gather. He says they don't gather over here, they gather at the clubhouse. So that's how the ordinance was waived. There's your answer. And then I measured myself with a tape measure across Newburgh Road, and it's 94 feet over to Greenmead. The city of Dearborn would not put a Sheets across the street from the entrance of Greenfield Village. Greenmead is our Greenfield Village. Okay, think about it. Of all the things you heard about the bad, the detrimental things about that corner, there's not one thing that would stand in the way of or support a yes. And remind you, the only thing Sheets ever said was need and demand. We're going to meet a need and demand. You're meeting their own need and demand. There's 44,000 cars go through that intersection every day, and there's not a gas station within a mile. And so therefore, they said, we need to do it because our financial models said it'll work.
Thank you, that is time. Name and address for the record, please.
Jerry Karasinski, 19488 Bainbridge Avenue. I just want to support Councilmember McCullough on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from the audience? Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Ryan Riggio. I live in Whispering Willows. Sheets Golf Course, Sheets butts right up to the golf course. It's the fence and Sheets. It's not the clubhouse. It's the golf course on the 7th hole. There's a fence there. And behind, if Sheets was to be built, is Bell Creek. That's a flood zone. You got if the gas station was there, you got gas leakage. It's not right. We should not have a Sheets there. Martha should have never.
Okay,
never should have signed for it.
on Mr. McCullough's request. Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Ralph McNabb, Livonia. I also support this. And to be honest with you, 80,000 gallons of gasoline doesn't matter whether it's 100 foot or 150 foot. I'm telling you, 80,000 gallons, that's 7 of those great big, large gas tankers. And that's what's going to be right next to the property line on the Sheets and the golf course. So and the creek's right there.
Okay, yep, so we're going to focus
So
on
what I'm saying is,
Mr. McCullough's request, not on the actual Sheets
he's
issue.
correct. I've read it in different forms at state level and county level and DEQ. And it is to the property line. It's not where I can say there's so many people over here and so many people. So how many people does it take before one person gets hurt? Do you have to have 2? What if there's only 2 people in the clubhouse? Do we say, well, it doesn't matter then? Or 1 person in the clubhouse? Well, it doesn't matter then. No, it has to do with the property line, and it's for safety reasons. That's what you have to remember. So when you vote to allow this stuff, you're putting your names on this thing, so if something happens safety-wise at that gas station, the gas tanks explode or whatever, it doesn't matter 50 feet. It doesn't matter. It's a safety concern, and it's property line. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from the audience? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Persicconi.
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik.
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye. Passes 7-0.
Madam Chair, I got just 2 announcements, no more, at least in this. Everybody, normally I don't, I do a pizza event at the senior center, usually every other month and then some of my seniors might be here and might say I might cancel on them a couple times because that's just what I do. No, I'm kidding. But long story short, I've been doing it for the last couple years, and now that we're moved over to the new center with a little bit more room, I'm upping it to 80 people. And honestly, it's a hot ticket. It sells out pretty quick. It's free. I feed all the seniors, and I let the seniors ask me very pointed questions. And so February 19th, and right now you can register on Civic or whatever, the Rec Pro, right, through the Rec Center and also through the Senior Center. Great time. You get to meet some people and you get food. So it's usually 1 to 3, and then I usually alternate it every other month. So we're going to continue to do it, and if the demand's there, we're going to keep opening it up and opening it up. It's a great event. So I look to hopefully see you there with some questions. The second thing, May 2nd, is going to be when the All-Stars take on the Detroit Red Wings alumni at Eddie Edgar from 1 to 3. We picked a little bit warmer of a date, and I might have jinxed the Lions because I always tried to stay away from the end of January because the Lions should be there. I apologize. I'm also a season ticket holder, and so I'm disappointed. But you should start seeing a lot of the information on a lot of the social media sites. Hopefully the city can pick it up, and like they've done in years past. It's $10 a ticket, and it goes to Breaking Barriers, which is formerly Livonia Kids and Families, so everything goes right back to charity. Alpha's a great supporter. They pick up the Red Wings, but just isn't anything, come out, watch us get beat up, and watch the Red Wings and raise some good funds. So you'll see that something like that probably hitting social media this week. Thank you.
And the only thing I have is there's new data on items 14, 15, and 16. Okay, moving on the agenda, we are moving to reports from the mayor and other city officials. We received communications from the Department of Finance dated December 17th, 2025, and this is in regards to forwarding various financial statements of the city of Livonia for the month ending September 2025, and these have been received and filed. Now we will move on to the consent agenda. Items 1 through 11 on the consent agenda will be voted on as one item. These items were previously discussed at the study meeting that took place on January 5th, 2026, and determined to be non-controversial. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Support.
Okay, motion Persicone, second by Tashnik. And do I have any comments from council? Ms. McDonald?
Thank you. Bouncing back to Mr. Fisher, on item 7, if council approves this line item, are we in violation of the charter?
I don't believe that line item, or item 7 violates the charter, to my knowledge.
Pardon?
I don't believe that it violates the charter.
It does?
Does not. Does not. I do not
Okay.
believe that it violates any provisions in the charter.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anything else from council? Anything from the audience? Please state your name and address for the record.
Steve King, Coventry Gardens. Items 1 and 2, request to waive the sidewalk requirement. I saw that at the last meeting. For the 10 people at home that watch these meetings, I think it would be nice to, and you can just pull it up on your phone instantly, you can do a Google search and you can show a picture of those areas and why sidewalks wouldn't go there. And along that line, there are areas of the city that need sidewalks. And there's like just one carve out. There's sidewalk, sidewalk, no sidewalk, sidewalk, sidewalk. And where my daughter lives, so I'm hoping you'll consider that moving forward, because strollers go into the street and then they come back out and use the sidewalk. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Persicone.
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik.
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye. The vote passes 7-0, and the consent agenda is approved. We will now move on to unfinished business. Let me find where I am. So item number 12 was a committee of the whole meeting of January 5th, and the subject matter of this meeting was permanently referring the establishment of council committees, representatives on various boards and committees, the parliamentarian, and any other business that would come before the committee. The council committees are to be received and filed, but I do need a vote on the board and committee delegates and representatives and the parliamentarian.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Okay, motion from McCullough, support from Budzinski. Anything from council? Anything from the audience?
Jim Bigga, Livonia, Michigan. Looking at the committee assignments, I kind of think it's not the best business practice to have the committee for the finance and the committee for the building and infrastructure to have the same people as the chair and the vice chair on both committees. They're flip-flopping the jobs, and I think they should have different people in those roles. I don't think that you have the same people who are going to be deciding things, being the two people in charge of those committees. I think you should have different faces so that it doesn't look like you've got people who could be making the decisions before the meetings happen, and you would have nobody else looking over what's going on. Granted, you do have a third person on those committees, but in essence, you already have two people who could probably be voting yes, and the third person could be voting no, and decisions would be made before things already happen. And I really think you should have two people that aren't on that committee and the third person as a chairman. Great, but the two other people shouldn't be the same ones on each committee. because those are your two big dollar committees of the council. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from the audience? Ms. Budzinski?
Yes, I'd like to just explain to the audience watching a little background on our committee assignments. So we have 7 standing committees for City Council. Each of us will chair a committee. The chair of a committee, basically their role is to set the agenda. So that is what they can do. A chair of a committee cannot make a motion in the committee, much like our council president can't make a motion in our meetings tonight. The only individuals who can make motions at committee meetings are the members of those meetings. However, all of the sitting council members and the audience or the general public can attend our committee meetings. Generally, I believe I've attended all the committee meetings. I think, we all try to, as much as we can. So even if, for instance, I've been part of committee meetings where I am not a committee member, but I've had recommendations for what those motions moving forward could be for an agenda item. Generally, coming out of committee, it's either a standing or we go with an approval, denial. Yeah, those are generally the motions that come out of committee. And somebody who is a member will make that motion. The key part for the 3 members on the committee is that for there to be a set quorum, those 2 of those 3 members also have to be present. So even if you have other members of council, you won't necessarily hit a quorum unless you have 2 members. So I just wanted to provide that background and that, the power influence related to committee appointment. We all can participate in those committee meetings, and only members can make motions, not the chair.
Thank you. Ms. Tashnik?
Thank you, and I think Mrs. Budzinski did a good job explaining that. We don't take votes in committee meetings either, so just motions are made out of them, so there's nothing to be voted on, and so nothing like a budget item would be voted on in a finance and budget meeting. It would just be talking about the budget with, the administration or the department heads or whatever it is, and as Mrs. Budzinski just spoke of, all 7 of us are invited to be there and are frankly expected to be there. So as far as votes or any kind of power, seen or unforeseen, that's really not there. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Ms. Budzinski?
Sorry. And I also wanted to add that, we do readouts. So just as we're doing a readout now, and any 7 of us can make a motion at a readout of a committee meeting. You don't have to be a member to do it. So much like we did, made several motions in our opening remarks. Just a point that all of us have certain shared abilities regardless of our specific committee assignments or even our roles on that committee. So.
Anything else from council? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Persicone.
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik.
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye, and it passes 7-0. All right, moving on to item number 13, an unfinished business. This is a waiver petition. It comes from the Planning Commission, and this is petition 2025-02-02-05, submitted by Symmetry Management requesting to amend the site plan and conditions approved under Council Resolution 139-25, granted on May 7, 2025, to eliminate the requirement of providing access to Chippewa Drive in connection with the construction of a new 2,515 square foot full-service restaurant with drive-through facilities at 39200 7 Mile Road, located at the northeast corner of 7 Mile and Haggerty Roads in the southwest quarter of Section 6.
Motion to approve.
Support. No, give that to Robin. Give it to Robin.
Motion by Budzinski, support by Persicone. Anything from council? Anything from, go ahead.
Sorry, Madam Chair. Just for those who may be unfamiliar with what this item is, it is next to Shake Shack, where there's an abundance of open parking lot. The developer is looking to put a Cava restaurant there. We previously approved that development with the understanding that Chippewa Drive, which is a private road, would have an entrance and exit point. Unfortunately, the developer was unable to come to an agreement with the Chippewa Drive owner, so they will have a shared enter and exit entry point with Shake Shack that's currently at the property.
Anything else from council? Anything from the audience? Name and address for the record, please. You have 2 minutes.
Denise Micah, Livonia. Since that is, I think, a major change to what was approved, I think there should be a traffic study on that, because before, that was the Macaroni Grill. And that parking lot was pretty full. And so to think that people are going to make a right hand out of 7 Mile when they go to Cava, and I have nothing against Cava, and or when they leave on Haggerty, they can only make a right-hand turn, because there's no way that you're right at that traffic light. I mean, I think we should relook at this, because I think there's going to be a big problem with traffic. People will want to make that left. And if you can't go on that drive where there's the traffic light that goes across to part of Schoolcraft, you cannot safely get out of there. And I'm just worried about all the accidents, because a lot of people coming off the expressway, and that 7 Mile and Haggerty is right now crazy. And with all the other development south of that, it's going to be terrible. So I would suggest that we look at a traffic study on how that's really going to impact that, with only right turns now coming out when it can't have another egress, which would have been the third egress. The other two are right turns. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from the audience?
Jerry Kersinski, 19488 Bainbridge Avenue. So this property is looking at adding a 2,500 square foot building, which is basically the size of a house. It looks like there's plenty of parking. I think you probably will see an increase in traffic, but actually I'm in favor of this, so for what it's worth.
Thank you. Anything else from the audience? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Persicone.
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik.
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye, and it passes 7-0. Item number 14 is a waiver petition from the Planning Commission. This is in regards to petition 2025-10-02-17 submitted by Outback Steakhouse of Florida, LLC, DBA Outback Steakhouse, requesting waiver use approval to utilize an SDM liquor license. This allows a licensed business to sell beer, wine, and mixed spirit drink products in the original package for consumption off the premises in connection with the existing restaurant operation, Outback Steakhouse, at 13010 Middle Belt Road, located at the southeast corner of Middle Belt Road and Industrial Drive, in the northwest quarter of Section 25.
Madam Chair.
Ms. Tashnik.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mr. Fisher, really quick. There's Resolution A and B here. Do we need to vote on those separately?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. I'll offer an approval on Resolution A, which is to approve the SDM liquor license. In conjunction, sorry.
Support, if there hasn't been support.
We're racing, you
That's
and
you.
I
Take
tonight.
it. Listen, Robin, you're on it. Take it.
Motion by Tashnik, support by Persicone. Anything from council? Anything from the audience?
Yeah, Steve King, Coventry Gardens. I thought Eileen had, at the last meeting, asked, she was reaching out to the police, chief of police. Weren't you reaching out? Police?
There was additional
You guys
data
got stuff in your
received.
packet?
Yeah, it's online. Mhm.
Oh, it's online,
Yep.
okay, I didn't see that. I think this, well, it becomes the blueprint going forward. Things you do have repercussions. So now, everybody who wants to sell extra booze, they're gonna cite this, this petition. And I don't like the idea of cars and booze. You're giving booze to people to drive home. It's a dangerous, deadly combination. There's too much booze in this city. Every corner has a liquor store. And to make it easier to get booze, this is going to be, somebody brought up Uber drivers. They're going to take advantage of this. Underage people are going to take advantage of this. This will come back to haunt you if you approve this.
Anything else from the audience?
Madam Chair.
Ms. Buzinski?
I would like to just remind those in the audience or those watching or inform them if they were unable to watch the study meeting previously, what is before us right now. It would be for beer and wine to be sold curbside only through the Outback website, and Outback can already do to-go cocktails at present. This wouldn't be setting a precedent in the community. Both Applebee's across the street and then Costco can also sell beer and wine in the same capacity. So really, we're just being consistent with what the neighboring businesses are already able to do and services that are being offered. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway,
No.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald,
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski,
Aye.
Councilmember Persicconi,
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik,
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye, and it passes 6-1. Now do Resolution B.
So you just ask for a motion.
And then can I get a motion for Resolution B?
I'll offer an approving for Resolution B.
I'll for support.
Motion made by McCullough, support by Tashnik. Anything from council? Persicone, my bad.
Madam Chair? So just, we had a resident come up. We did receive a letter. It did state that while, on the original application for plan review, they did flag a component of it. They did send back another letter that says they're not all too concerned, just because right now I know on Uber you could. They do ride sharing to bring alcohol as of right now. I mean, Uber Eats, it's a common practice. And we did ask the petitioner, how rigid. They're not going to let someone go out to the parking lot. They're going to make sure this person that gets the alcohol has an ID. So that answered my question. And then furthermore, just to explain a little bit more on that letter. Thank you.
Ms. McDonald?
Yes, thank you. And as far as clarification that council received in reference from the police department, they did say that they were writing had their concerns in reference to the distance between the establishments, between Costco and the other restaurant, I'm sorry. Applebee's. And the officer indicated that he did not have a problem with this. And the petitioner did reassure us that they would take care of it. So I'm sure if it's an issue, we will, I'm sure Livonia Police Department will take care of this for us. And I think that the petitioner has has it under control, in my opinion. Thank you.
Anything else from council? Anything from the audience? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway,
No.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald,
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski,
Aye.
Councilmember Persicconi,
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik,
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye, and it passes 6-1. Okay, item number 15, this is a waiver petition coming from the Planning Commission, and it is petition 2025-11-02-19, submitted by Detroit Light Action LLC, requesting waiver use approval to operate a banquet center with occupancy of over 50 people at 28370 Joy Road, located at the northwest corner of Thorpe Street and Joy Road in the southwest quarter of Section 36.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Support.
Okay, motion by Budzinski, support by Tashnik. Anything from council? Ms. Budzinski?
Again, just a brief overview. This would be an event center operating during the day and until about 10 o'clock in the evening. It's located next to the Rack, which is a pool hall that sells alcohol and is open till 2 a.m. I don't see that there would be a conflict in terms of noise or disruption to the surrounding neighborhood. This business also has written letters of support from the neighboring businesses and parking agreements as well. So I think this will be a good addition to our community and a nice addition to that Joy Road strip between Inkster and Middlebelt.
Anything else from council?
Yes.
Mr. Brockway?
I just want to say I appreciate through the council or through the chair to the petitioner, I do appreciate taking the time to get those letters out to the neighbors as it was, and the fact that they have no issue with that, I think is a good step. So thank you for taking that extra step to get community feedback to your proposal.
Did you want to say anything?
Just let me thank you to you all. I just kind of wanted to go out through the neighborhood, and they were actually very, very surprised that I was even there doing that, because the two prior owners that were there, from what I was told, were operating with over 50 to 100 people capacity, and they were just not even involved in the community. So they actually thanked us for going door to door, as I did, to get those letters over. So just wanted to say thank you.
And can I just get your name and address for the record, please?
Morella Karahusik, 28370 Joy Road.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else from the audience? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Councilmember Brockway.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Vice President Brockway. Vice President. Councilmember McCullough.
No.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Persicone.
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik.
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye, and it passes 6-1. Okay, moving on to item 16, request to extend contract with Boone Development LLC, DBA.
You gotta do one.
We need a vote on Resolution B for that. It requires a supermajority and a separate
I'm sorry.
vote.
We just put so much on the paper, it gets lost in there. Okay, Resolution B is to waive the 300-foot separation requirement from any residential district or property used for church purposes.
A motion to approve.
Support.
Motion by Budzinski, support by Persicone. Anything from council?
Madam Chair?
Mr. McCullough?
Just wanted to put, I will be voting no on this again. Right now, even when you look at it, it's about a 50-foot separation. And I appreciate the petitioner for going around, but if we do this that close to residents, I just worry about the future. So I'm going to be voting no. Thank you.
Anything else from council? Anything from the audience? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
No.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Persicone.
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik.
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye, and it passes 6-1. Item number 16, request to extend contract with Boone Development LLC, DBA Sod Solutions. This comes from the Department of Public Works, the Forestry Division, and it is in regards for the 2026 tree trimming services for an additional year with current pricing from budgeted funds.
Motion to approve.
Do I have support?
Support.
Motion by Budzinski, support by Persicone. Anything from council? Ms. McDonald?
Yeah. Thank you, President Reed. I would like to offer an alternate resolution for this line item. I think we need a little more time to analyze the documentation that we received from our county department.
Support.
Oh, sorry.
Motion by McConnell, support by McCullough.
So is this a substitute motion?
Okay, substitute motion would be that we,
We have to vote to substitute, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the floor is yours.
Floor is
okay,
yours,
thank
sorry.
you. I appreciate the help. I would like to offer a renewal until March 31st, 2026 at a dollar amount of $93,750 for further review for council. This will at least give us additional time to review what we received yesterday and still have services available to the citizens until we can have a further review.
Madam Chair, just real
Ms.
quick.
Tashnik?
So I believe, and I will have Mr. Fisher confirm, we have to vote first to substitute a motion, and then we would vote on the motion that you're making. So there's two parts to this.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Sorry.
please?
We will have to vote first to actually substitute a motion.
Okay.
And then part two would be to vote on your motion. So should
Okay.
the motion to substitute pass?
Okay,
Just to
thank
make
you.
that clear for the new members and anyone watching. Thank you, Madam Chair.
first or go to audience first?
You go to council first.
Council, sorry. Ms. Budzinski?
I would, through the chair, if Councilwoman McDonald could just expound more on kind of what are we looking at in terms of what are we trying to evaluate within this extra time frame that would change our support for continuing with this contract? I mean, what are you hoping that we can learn in the next 60-ish days?
Well, my concern is the amount of what the original contract was approved for. And I would like to learn additional information on how this contract is being managed. We went from $250,000 to I think it was $26,000 over the year. And I just personally need additional time to review and make sure that we are spending our tax dollars wisely.
Anything else from council? Carrie, are you done?
I mean, I do feel that Mr. Moore had explained, this, and when there have been requests for increases, those also come before council. I think it's council, does approve spending, and, we have our budget meetings beginning in June, and then in greater detail in August and September. And I just get a little bit nervous about trying to have such specific oversight on how departments are run, because we are a part-time body that does not, deal with the day-to-day work that goes into what this and, what these contracts entail. So I'll just leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Anything else from council? Anything from the audience?
Yeah, thanks, Eileen. Excellent.
Name
Excellent
and address
points.
for the record, please.
Steve Kane, Cumberland Gardens. Excellent point. I'm just curious. I'm told there's 400 stumps that have to be removed in Livonia. I think this whole proposal, Carrie, I know you think everybody's perfect. They do a perfect job.
Mr. King, we're talking about the substitute
Yes,
motion right
okay.
now.
Yeah, okay. This whole thing needs to be revisited because whatever you're doing, it ain't working. There's dead and dangerous trees everywhere. And we need to take a look at this and go back to square one. It's not working. I can show you example after example. They cut down healthy trees right next to a dead tree. It's not working. Get out of your seats, out of your cars, and go through this neighborhood. Go to the city, watch, learn, talk to people. So thank you. Please, whatever you got to do, Eileen.
Name and address for the record, please.
Denise Micah, Livonia. Thank you, Councilwoman McDonald, for doing this, because you're really looking at the details, which we know our budget for the city is very slim, and we have to look at every dollar. And to have a contract that is basically going to be doubled, it's very interesting that we should not pause and look at that. And you're being gracious and giving them some of the money until you have time to study it further. And I think that's a great compromise. Thank you.
Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Jerry Karasinski, 19488 Bainbridge. I want to second those two comments ahead of me. It looks like it says here specifically, additional year with current pricing. So if the budgeted amount is changing, that means your scope of work is changing. So one of those two can't be true. So is the scope of work changing and the pricing staying the same? Or is it the exact same scope of work and exact same pricing as last year? So if there's any question on either of those, I would recommend that you approve this substitute motion and vote on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything else from the audience? So now we're voting on the substitute motion. Do you have two substitute? Okay, Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski.
No.
Councilmember Persicone.
No.
Councilmember Tashnik.
No.
President Reed.
No. So the substitute motion does not move forward.
It's denied.
Is denied. So now we go back to the original motion on the table. So anything from council on the original motion?
Madam Chair.
Mr. McCullough?
I'm just going to say that I appreciate the packet. I think that it was fine on this item, but just out of context, I'm going to be, on principle, I will be voting no, because anytime we would, I mean, we're in the middle of winter. I don't foresee much tree trimming to get our colleagues some answers. So for that reason, I wanted to tell, obviously, we have staff in the House that this is not a problem for that, it's just a matter of principle. Thank you.
Anything else from council?
Madam Chair.
Ms. Tashnik.
Thank you. And I actually appreciate Ms. McDonald bringing up this conversation. I really do. And this is something we can absolutely look at during our budgeting season. The reason I did vote to not substitute here and keep this is I trust Mr. Moore when he presented last week, and the fact that they are going to keep the pricing for this year. I'm concerned that if we were to hold only for 60 days, that we're going to be hit with a price increase. I would like to go in with kind of what I already know we budgeted for. Thank you, Ms. Reed.
And if I may add too, I do recall an email, and I can't find it now because we received quite a few emails in the last few days, but there was an email that was submitted to us from Mr. Moore specifically explaining the difference from last year and this year, and that we'd be doing a couple of things differently, and why specifically this dollar amount was requested. And I believe the ultimate outcome was to be able to accomplish more trimming without having to come back, which is what happened last year, and slow down the trimming in the middle of the season. So I was satisfied for that reason as well, and I just wanted those out there to be aware that that was information we received as well.
Anything else from council? Anything from the audience? Name and address for the record, please.
James Biga, Livonia, Michigan. Clearly, I just heard mention that there was a scope change to the contract. So if you had a budgeted effort for the original budget for the year, and you had an existing contract that said you were going to do X amount for X dollars, and now you're going to do Y amount for the same X dollars, you have a different contract scope. And being a part-time non-lawyer, but having a lot of contract experience, every lawyer I ever worked for said you have a new contract because your scope of work changed. So I think you have a new contract because you have a new scope. So I think Ms. McDonald's proposal holds merit, that you don't have really the same contract you had for 25 going into 26. So I think you're voting on something that's not really a valid contract. You're going to be negotiating a new contract because you didn't have a scope for this contract in 26. So just because you have a dollar amount that you have a contract for, you have a dollar contract. You don't have a effort contract. So all you're doing is just saying, hey, I have X dollars to spend. How much work can I get done? You don't have a contract that says, this year we're going to cut 500 trees. Last year we had a contract for 300 trees. I don't know what number of trees and what number of stumps you're cutting this year because you don't have a valid contract. And as far as I know, when you don't have a valid contract, you have nothing. Thank you.
Anything else from the audience? Name and address for the record, please.
Yep, Denise Michael, Livonia. I do have a plethora of experience in contracting. And even though something is budgeted, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be looking at the contract. And like Mr. Biggis said, the scope has changed. And I think the documentation that goes in with these proposals should be more substantiated instead of 1 or 2 pages. And that extra information that you got from Mr. Moore, I don't believe is in the packet with what was sent to council. So I don't think there's enough documentation with any of these contracts that are being extended and all these waivers. I don't think it's substantial enough, and I think that's a big weakness. And so even though we budgeted money for different things, doesn't mean we have to spend that. We have to prudently look at those contracts when we get them to see if that scope aligns with what we have. So if your contract was originally $245,000, and let's just do the math with me, okay? If your contract's $245,000 and you're extended a year and it's the same thing, how can the contract then be another $375,000? Where's that $100,000 going to? Think about that math. Thank you.
Anything else from the audience? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway,
No.
Councilmember McCullough,
No.
Councilmember McDonald,
No.
Councilmember Budzinski,
Aye.
Councilmember Persicconi,
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik,
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye, and it passes 4-3. We're moving on to item number 17. This is a request to amend contract with ERG Environmental Services. This comes from the Department of Public Works, and it's in regard to adjust household hazardous waste drop-off from a 7-month service to a year-round service for the remaining 2 years from the Municipal Refuse Fund, and this is from Council Resolution 361-19. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion by Budzinski, support by McCullough. Anything from council? Ms. Budzinski?
I'll just, this allows ERG's contract for hazardous waste drop-off at Merriman Road and Industrial, just south of Schoolcraft, to run year-long operations. You can bring old oil, old paints, old electronics, drop off 100 pounds per household for a flat rate. It's a great program. It's wonderful that it can be extended to, well, it can maintain its offerings for year-round. Thank you.
Anything else from council? Anything from the audience? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald,
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski,
Aye.
Councilmember Persicconi,
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik,
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye, and that passes 7-0. Item number 18 is a request to waive the formal bidding process and approve vendors for equipment maintenance. This comes from the Department of Public Works, and it's in regard to provide outside vendor services for the maintenance of the city fleet from budgeted funds. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion by Budzinski, support by Brockway. Anything from council?
Madam Chair? Oh, go.
Mr. McCullough?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will be voting no on this just for the fact that the questions that I brought up last year, we're asking for over $300,000, and there's no unit prices. It just says these are the outside vendors we would like to use. In this industry, I'd like to at least be able to measure it rather than have an open check and just vendors that we so choose. Thank you.
Ms. Budzinski?
I will be supporting the motion and put forward the approving motion. It was explained in the previous meeting. This is something we have been dealing with in terms of outsourcing mechanical services to outside vendors in the community. And we have been able to hire individuals who are being trained to then address these issues so that we will be able to do it in-house. This is basically a safety net or, you know, a learning curve transition funding so that for service needs that this new staff can't handle or hasn't learned to do yet, as they're being trained to address the issues, we are not losing time or productivity for the vehicles that are in the fleet by allowing outside mechanical services to be done. So, thank you.
Anything else from council? Anything from the audience? Name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, Steve King, Coventry Gardens. Appreciate that, Brandon. We had a fully staffed mechanics at the garage, and they just wanted a little more money, and we didn't want to pay them. It would have been way cheaper to pay them. If you probably don't know the history of this. Secondly, when I was on school board, we had a agreement with the city, LPS did, where we serviced their vehicles. And I'm wondering why that isn't still in place, where it went, and why it's not being looked at. Maybe it is still in place, I don't know. So that's just something I think you ought to think about.
Thank you. Anything else from the audience? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
No.
Councilmember McDonald,
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski,
Aye.
Councilmember Persicconi,
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik,
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye, and it passes 6-1. Item number 19 is a request for consideration of a proposed ordinance amendment. This comes from Councilmember Martha Tashnik, and it's in regards in order to establish a restriction on approving new car washes within 1 mile of existing car washes to include those who have already received site plan or other special approval from the city. Ms. Tashnik?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to offer a motion that we refer a proposed ordinance amendment to the Law Department regarding car washes.
Support.
Okay,
Go ahead. Okay. I'm looking to, and I started to mention this last time, I'm looking to establish a restriction on approving any new car washes within 1 mile of existing car washes along any corridor. I think we would need to consider existing car washes to include those that have already received site plan approval or any other approval from the city. And like I said earlier, I know that it seems like we've approved an inordinate amount of car washes, but the truth is, in the last 2 years, we have only approved 2. And the first was part of a consent judgment where the city was legally required to approve that one. As of now, it has not even been built. We'll see if it ends up being built or not. However, that being said, I have noticed clusters in certain parts of the city. I'm trying to be cognizant of that, for example, the Plymouth Road corridor, and I'm looking to prevent any future oversaturation. I know many have called for a moratorium on car washes, but honestly, that only puts us on a clock. And as soon as those 6 months or 12 months or whatever we decide, we would have droves of possible plans before us. So I feel like this defines the limits exactly. I've looked into many other similar municipalities around the country, and the 1 mile limit seems to be common for these types of ordinance amendments. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. McCullough?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to offer a substitute motion to offer a moratorium, an indefinite moratorium on car washes in all of our 36 square miles of Livonia. Looking for support.
Support.
Can I have the floor?
Sure.
I'm more worried about exactly what happened last year is, bringing an item forward and then all of a sudden in this new year, let's bring forward an ordinance. So that is why I would like to put a moratorium no timeline on it. It'd be up to maybe a council resolution, or I'd leave it up to Mr. Fisher to determine what the legalities are of it. But right now, I mean, we're looking at it, and we didn't even take into any consideration that of the surrounding areas. Northville's got one right at Haggerty and 7 Mile. There's also one at a gas station right at the Mobile at 6 and Haggerty. And so right now, I'd like to put a total stop on it because I think, and I'm probably sure I can answer for the millions of people washing at home, that Livonia probably doesn't need any car washes in the near future. Thank you.
Ms. Budzinski?
Through the chair to Mr. Fisher, I had previously done research on moratoriums, and in my non-legal background research, there had to be a timeline and an end objective when you issue a moratorium. So for instance, doing a research, getting background, so that you're buying time to create a definitive plan at the end of the day. And we did earlier this evening put into the Economic Development Committee a restriction on similar like businesses for further discussion along these same lines for if we are to make other changes to our ordinances in terms of limiting the number of these type of businesses. So I just specifically through the chair to our city attorney, can moratoriums be indefinite or do they need deadlines?
It's certainly something that bears a little bit more research on the part of the law department, but at first blush, I would say yes. Typically, a moratorium does have to have some kind of deadline associated with it. An indefinite moratorium is essentially the same as a prescriptive ban, and those are usually frowned upon. So it's something that we'll do a little bit more research on internally, should we be directed to do so, in terms of what's available as far as moratorium and what the outlines are, but it's certainly something we'll take under consideration.
And then, through the chair to my colleague, as Council or Vice President Brockway had asked that it be put into the Economic Development Committee. I do intend, I was going to talk to him after this meeting about what his timeline is, who he wants there so that we can get this scheduled in a timely manner where we could investigate a specific moratorium, motion on this issue along with gas stations and others. I'd just like to point that out and make that an offering to say that I will make it a priority to schedule it as quickly as we're able to, if you're amenable to that.
Ms. Tashnik, then Mr. McCullough.
Madam Chair, thank you. Honestly, I didn't offer a moratorium, and I offered the limit along corridors for the same reasons that Mrs. Budzinski pointed out, that it was very difficult to do an indefinite moratorium, as Mr. Fisher also assured. I would be more than happy to, and if Mr. McCullough was amenable to adjust his a motion to add a timeline for now so that we could perhaps study it, whether that be 6 months or 12 months, but just to give us some time and put an end date on that. Thank you.
Mr. McCall?
Thank you. I'm fine to put a 12-month. I just was doing some research right now, and just recently, there's been multiple communities that surround us and border us that put a 12-month moratorium on car washes. So I think that would be fair. If the supporter is amicable to supporting that motion, I'm fine to add it. But I'd like to at least vote on it today.
Vote on the substitute then.
Right, so anything from the audience on the substitute motion?
The fact that we're substituting.
Just the fact that we're substituting.
Yes, I agree with the substitution.
Name and address for the record, please.
Ralph McNabb, Gulf Ridge Villa Homes. I do agree with this because this needs to be pushed off so we can understand this. A 1 mile, why isn't it 2 miles? And what do you do with the borders on the 8 miles for Farmington Hills and Livonia, and Northville on Haggerty and such? I think your substitute for the moratorium is exactly what we need so we can stand back and understand what this does, because I think it's pretty telling why this brought up within 2 weeks of the new year. I don't know if anybody's taken a map of Livonia and taken a grid, because you will allow.
Sir, I'm really
the
sorry to
existing
interrupt you,
17.
but it's just if you're supporting or not the substitute motion, not your opinion on the actual.
I think this supports the substitution, because I think you'll see that it allows over 36 car washes if you just do a 1 mile. So I think the moratorium is the right answer.
Name and address for the record, please.
Greg Ralco, Gulf Ridge Villa. I support any restriction in that regard, but Farmington Hills did a study, and they got the number of counts of gas stations, car washes, and auto repair shops. And they argued successfully, and they wrote an ordinance that said you can only buy an existing one, you can't open a new one, because we're already at saturation point. Okay? We're at saturation
So this is
point.
about
It's-
if the
yeah,
substitute
and this is about it, because you open a business that's going to fail if you oversaturate. Go ask the drugstore chains, okay? So in the best spirit of what's best for Livonia, it's not just a moratorium. It's a restriction, and you had that a year ago when I gave it to Carter from Farmington Hills. The work had already been done, okay? So I support what anything that Brandon says here, because you should restrict this, and you should take a step back and look at these things, because you overbuild and then you have empty car washes. And Carrie did an analysis. She said 17. We're well over per capita any other city. So a moratorium is good, to answer the question. But the restrictions can go beyond that.
Name and address for the record, please.
Jerry Karasinski, 19488 Bainbridge Avenue. I support the moratorium because I have a point that I'd like to make. You're talking about car washes in general. There are different kinds of car washes. There's quarter car washes versus drive-through, and then there's gas station car washes. So I think you might want to consider all those three different factors, and coming up with a resolution right now or an ordinance, it's probably premature. So I support a moratorium.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you please take the vote on this to substitute the motion, please?
Vice President Brockway.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Persicone.
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik.
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye. So the substitute motion passes.
Now we just vote on the actual motion.
Madam Chair, and if I may.
Mr. McCullough?
So we have the vote, and we still have the support from the substitute. Now we're talking about it. And to talk to the residents, and maybe save you guys some time, but the way I look at it is the moratorium that we're going to do right now is going to provide a short-term solution. The long-term is going to be in the committee. That's how these are designed to do. I always laugh because anytime we have committees, if we sit and talk about an item a little too long, maybe it's time to go in the committee, because then we can talk about it a little bit more in depth to educate people. So that's what I think, and stay on us, because obviously these are going to be open public meetings, so you can attend as well. But thank you.
Ms. Tashnik?
Thank you, and I appreciate the council's support on this tonight. obviously, my goal was to restrict the car washes, and I think this works out really well. I appreciate Mr. McCullough's idea of the moratorium. However, I knew we had to have that timeline, so that was to get the conversation going, and I think we've done that. Whether we come up with it being a quarter mile, a half mile, no more at all, we'll see, but that'll go to committee, and we'll have that opportunity to really study this topic. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Anything else from council? Anything from the audience? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Persicone.
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik.
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye, and it passes 7-0. And that is the end of our unfinished business. We have any new business? Mr. McCullough?
And I promise you, I saved this. Listen, I do have 4 motions I'd like to make to add things to the committee. Now that I am, well, not officially the chair until we vote on the minutes the next time, but I thought that, you know what, we've got a lot of work to do, this council. So the reason I'm saying this now is because we're still in council communications. The first item that I am asking for support on, and this would go to the Law and Education Committee, is a charter process improvement. Looking for support, at least for sake of discussion.
Support.
Motion from Mr. Go ahead.
Thank you. So the last time I did this, I'm going to try something new, is I did a lot of research, and I don't want to belabor everything, but there's sections of our charter that refer to the mayor as he, refer to the treasurer as he. I can go on and on. When I brought this up the last meeting, I probably did do it the right way, and I really want to start looking at this. A charter, we haven't had a charter update, I don't think, since potentially 95 for a full charter review is what I looked at. And just so everybody knows is that this goes to committee, we open it up, there could be an action committee that comes out of it, there could be nothing that comes out of it. But I could go through each of these, I'd like to do it at the committee, and I'd like your support. Thank you.
Anything from council on that? Anything from the audience? We have to vote, right? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Persicone.
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik.
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye, and it passes 7-0. Mr. McCullough?
All right, I got 2 more, that's it, I promise. The second one that I would like to put into law and education would be the subject matter of commercial vacant properties as they relate to fees. Looking for support, for sake of discussion.
Support.
Motion by McCullough, support by Budzinski.
So-
Oh, I'm sorry, Persicone.
Thanks,
My bad.
Robin. So
Go ahead, Mr. McCullough.
This one again, I know former Councilman Donovic and I really were, our first few years before COVID, we really jumped into this. And, just to give you an idea right now, even in the charter, it limits us to $500 a maximum fine for any ordinance. Now, that was done a long time ago. And so just to put that in perspective, all those, vacant properties that we see, including the 7 in Middlebelt, that's the one that's really like, let's do something. But listen, Sears, and I know, Mark Tormina has been on Sears to do it, but they have like a 30-day due diligence period, guys, which is nothing in the world of commercial. So right now, they pay $500 a year. That's it. That's all they do. And so I'm not telling you that I want to go after all these businesses. I just want to go after the bad actors. And so we can do better, and that's what I'm looking for in this. Thank you.
Ms. Budzinski?
So as a reminder, this item is in the Economic Development and Strategic Planning Committee. We had a meeting about that last spring. There has been a delay. Obviously, we had a lot going on last year, and it did put a strain on resources. And so I have talked to Mr. Fisher even this week about when they are going to have the language, because we, in that meeting, asked for language related to specifically this issue, and he's preparing it so that it can be brought back
I'm
to
totally
committee,
good
so
as long as we're referencing, let's save a committee assignment, totally good with it.
so I'm just letting you know, I am actively working on it.
I'll
We're-
withdraw my motion if you're, and as long as my supporter is good with withdrawing.
Yeah,
Okay. All right, so we'll cancel that. Let's just see, hopefully we can get some movement.
I'm working on it. I've told Carter and Jerome both that
Carter, you're on
this is
record. It's on the minutes.
This is my top priority going into the year that we don't pause. So please know it's.
The second one, I'm wondering, and this one kind of hit a little bit, is I'm looking, and maybe if it's in a committee, but I didn't see it at least in this one, is the subject matter of residential property maintenance enforcement into law and education. Looking for support.
I'd support. I don't know if it is.
Motion, go ahead, Ms. Merkel.
All right, so, you start driving through the neighbors, I don't know, listen, I don't read a ton of books, but when I do, there's one called Broken Windows. You'll hear me say it 1,000 times, and basically, the thought is one window breaks, you don't replace it, and you're just gonna continue to see broken windows. I fear that our neighborhood is starting to turn into these by some bad actors. I mean, if everybody could sit here and say, hey, how many campers, how many cars are abandoned and stuff like that. And I know our ordinance department does a great job. And I know every budget year, for the people that have been with me on council, that's one of my #1 priorities, is to add people. If it's staff, we can add that. Let's make sure we do things. Now that I don't have the president role and I'm more in this, I'd really like to dive in, and I'd like the support of my council members to open this onion, as I should say. Thank you.
Anything from council?
Madam Chair,
Ms. Tashnik?
just through the chair to Mr. McCullough, I just want to make sure I know what we're voting on. Is it to add staffing? Is it just to look at the ordinance?
It's
or-
just a general,
Just a
I
general,
just put
okay.
in there residential property maintenance enforcement. And one of the things that I know Mr. Hannah always brought up is trying to be able to write tickets. And I know Carrie has obviously been working with that on certain items, but just to really get it. I mean, this is one of the biggest things I had a passion for, and I think everybody in this audience can attest that we could do better. And if it's staffing or getting the resources to staff to do the right job, then let's do it. So yeah, so it's just broad, just to open up that conversation. It could be, ordinances could be enacted, changed in it, maybe, who knows?
Great, no, I'm on board with that. I just wanted, so everyone
Thank
understood
you.
what we were doing.
Anything,
And, yeah, I'm sorry. No, that's it.
anything else from council on that one? Anything from the audience?
I would like to add
Okay. Name and address for the record, please. You have 2 minutes.
Jerry Kersinski, 19488 Bainbridge. To Councilman McCullough's point, we do have a couple rental properties in our neighborhood that are not maintained at the same level as other properties. And we also have a handful of cars that sit on the street that do not move. And it would be wonderful if we could have that proper enforcement. Thank you.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, Steve King, Coventry Gardens, great stuff, Brandon. Glad to see you out of the president's chair and getting after it. Yeah, I hung 17,000 door hangers in this city when I ran for council, and I can show you violation after violation after violation. One thing I want to point out, though, typically ordinance enforcement uses the stick. We have to have the carrot available. There are people in this city that are hurting. Their properties are blighted. They're horrible. They're dangerous. The sidewalks, their stoops. So there has to be something in place to help the people who can't help themselves. Yes, go after the blighted property, but help the people that need it. Thank you.
Anything else from the audience? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Persicone.
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik.
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye. And that passes 7-0.
I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other new business?
I can add my,
Sure.
yes, if I may. I was going to save this for the study, but in the spirit of doing it, I'd like to get some support and send the subject matter of a new police station to the Capital Outlay and Infrastructure Committee.
Support.
Thank you,
Get out,
Brent.
get out.
I appreciate that.
Go ahead, Ms. Persicone.
Thank you. You know, as it stands right now, we do have monies that are available and funds that were allocated to be bonded for a new city hall. I do think that public safety being a top priority for our residents in our community, we need to consider redirecting those funds to a new police station. And I think that we need to take a deep dive into that. And let's get it on the agenda.
Okay, anything else from council? Anything from the audience on this one? Name and address for the record, please. You have 2 minutes.
I know you're getting sick of hearing from me, but I support this. Jerry Karasinski, 19488 Bainbridge. That was actually going to be something I was going to ask in audience communication, and I think that's a fantastic idea. Thank you.
Anything else from the audience? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Vice President Brockway.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Persicconi.
Aye.
Councilmember Tashnik.
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye, and that passes 7-0. Any other new business? Okay, we will move on to our audience communication. If you have not spoken during the first audience communication, you are welcome to come now. You have 3 minutes. Name and address for the record, please.
Steve Kane, Coventry Gardens. History reminds us that laws and morality are not always the same thing. There have been times when slavery was legal, segregation was legal, and even great injustices were carried out under lawful authority. In those moments, people who acted with conscience were often the ones punished. That perspective matters today because our role in local government isn't only to follow process, but to exercise judgment. Local government is where moral courage matters most because injustice doesn't start as history, it starts as policy. The policies we adopt today become the history we explain tomorrow. Thank you.
Name and address for the record.
James Biga, Livonia, Michigan. I'd like to speak about the Open Meetings Act. This is a nice little book I found today from the Attorney General. It's a wonderful document. I think everybody should download it and read it. It offers a wonderful, difficult things to read, and it'll provide some insight to some things that happened tonight. People talked earlier about the previous council meeting, and I know something that was discussed was the last-minute addition because one of the previous council members was unable to attend a meeting, so we added an agenda item. From the Michigan Municipal League, it says you should post the agenda 18 hours before a meeting. That didn't happen last year. It happened when we showed up at the meeting. Michigan Municipal League said that was a violation of the Open Meetings Act. Additionally, when Sheets was discussed, somebody was texting. It's a violation of the Open Meetings Act when it's done during a meeting. I didn't know that happened. So when you all are texting during a meeting, it looks like to those sitting in the audience that somebody could be having communication with somebody else on the dais, somebody behind the scenes. It just doesn't look right. According to the Michigan Municipal League and the Open Meetings Act, that's a violation. That was two in 2 months. Michigan Open Meetings Act also says that you, as a council, should relook at what happened and possibly revote to do something so you don't have a violation of the Open Meetings Act, so that people don't have the 30 or 60 days to go back and file a claim in the courts to say what you did was wrong. I'm just pointing these things out. Whether the people out there want to go out and do it, that's up to them. But this is the Open Meetings Act. This is something that your lawyer advises you on, but all 7 of you should know these things almost by heart. I don't know if you do. I know Livonia is a proponent of the Michigan Municipal League. One of these opinions was written by somebody who you have as a lawyer advising you on bonds and all that, and was a former council member in that law firm. So y'all have violated the Open Meetings Act, not the current council, the previous one. So maybe you should go, before you finish tonight, have a discussion about maybe revising your last year's things and go back and revote. Take care.
Thank you.
Anything else from the audience? Sir, didn't you speak during the first audience communication?
Yeah, I did, but I'd like to add to him because...
Sir, you can only speak at one of the audience communications.
Okay, unless you guys agree to allow me to speak again.
You can speak at the study that'll start right after this, in 10 minutes.
Unless somebody on the council would agree to let me speak. You know, we're talking about precedent here.
I'm sorry, sir, you already spoke at the beginning of the meeting. The study starts in 10 minutes.
Okay, we're talking about precedent here. Carter
I-
mentioned that earlier.
Sir, please, come back in 10 minutes.
That's your first gavel?
Nope, it's not.
It's not.
Mm-mm.
I got gaveled by Brandon's the first gavel.
Okay, anything from council? Any closing remarks?
Madam
I-
Chair, motion to approve, or
I
motion to
did
adjourn.
have one thing I wanted to say about the Open Meetings Act. I, on my own dollar, went out, got a new phone and a new line, and it has been given to our council members for emergencies for their spouses and children, so that no one is on their phone. It's sitting here. I honestly haven't been watching if it's been ringing, so I hope no one's had an emergency. But no one should be on their phone, because we have an emergency line, and that's it. So just know we are cognizant of this, and it's not on the taxpayer's dime, it's on mine, so that's it.
Same with the clock.
Same with the clock, it's on our
It's on
dime.
my dime.
Yep. Okay, can I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Support. Support.
Motion by Tashnik, support by Budzinski.
Safely show 7.
So you could safely show
Safely show
everybody.
7. Say that.
Safely show 7.
Yeah. We can safely show 7. Oh, safely. Sorry. Come back in 10 minutes. You have to